The idea is that everything is just a two-dimensional projection of the rest of the universe. If everything you see and hear is just a projection, then why does it seem real?
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Information.
You're thinking about it, that
Information.
and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Cosmic door to
Information.
Binary, a numbering system where all possible values are represented by two symbols, like on-off, true-false, or 1 and 0. Computers,
As I mentioned before, if you have a set of things and you abstract out from them a common element, you can make a strong case that the common element is more real than the set of things from which you abstracted it. That's the whole utility in abstraction. Why would you bother with it otherwise? If you can't take a set of things and say, look, there's something in common across this set of things that's more important than the differences between them, then you wouldn't bother abstracting at all. And so the tree of the knowledge of good and evil are abstractions.
Information.
binary, a numbering system where all possible values are represented by two symbols, like on-off, true-false, or 1 and 0. Computers handle all data as a stream of binary numbers. Binary digit is...
To answer this question, physics has to find out what information the two-dimensional fields can have. This would allow them to understand how time passes in our three-dimensional world.
Called a bit, which is either a 1 or a 0. You can't do much with a single bit, so they often come in a package of 8 called a byte that can represent 256 different values. Modern programmers don't write binary directly. Instead, we write code in a high-level language like Python or C++, which can then be interpreted or compiled into a binary format. However, you should still know how to count in binary to...
Imagine that everything you see, feel and hear in 3 dimensions, and your perception of time in fact derives from a flat 2-dimensional field.
The idea that the physical reality that we are familiar with in this 3D environment that we can readily access with our eyes and our equipment, this 3D reality might be sort of like a holographic projection of more fundamental information and laws that exist and operate on a thin 2-dimensional surface that bounds us, that surrounds us, perhaps way out on the edge of the observable universe. In that sense, much like a hologram is a thin piece of plastic which illuminates it and creates a realistic image, these laws of physics and processes way out there, through the laws of physics, would create a reality that seems real, but is really just a holographic projection of the details and data and information on that distant surface. And in human exploration more generally, is revealing fundamental truths that are out there, that are really part of the fabric of reality, of the details and data and they're not things which our brains process and impose on the outside world in order to organize our thoughts and our perceptions. Simply have this wonderful ability to find patterns and organize things in a way that allow us to tell a story about what's really happening out there, but that story is just something that our brains concoct of the details and data and to make sense of our perceptions. That's a real possibility.
In a simulated universe, the rules are not bound by our traditional understanding of physics. The observation effect in the double-slit experiment could be akin to a rendering feature in a simulation where elements are fully realized only when they are observed. Much like how video game environments are rendered in detail only when the player's character looks at them.
We live inside our brain. Our brain is the universe itself condensed in a micromatter. The environment we see is a hologram projected from our brain all around us. Even when we sleep, the brain doesn't stop. It creates new realities that we call dreams out of nothing. We live in this simulation produced by our brain. This holographic universe that we live in is infinite, and if you have the technology like an infinite microscope, you can zoom in forever. The materialistic world is just an illusion. After all, we are all stuck somewhere in this 2-dimensional hologram deep into the brain, waiting to find out the truth.